I understand you to say you're resigning, Miss Selby?
I want to do good, Mr. Shanks.
You think that being personal secretary to my sales manager isn't doing good?
No, sir.
Perhaps you think my sales manager isn't doing good.
Well, it's just that...
Perhaps you think the whole of Shanks's bidding isn't doing good.
It's not, no.
And you think my department store doesn't do good?
No, it doesn't.
And I suppose my estate agents don't do good. And my laundrettes and my Chinese restaurants and my novelty factory making fireworks and crackers.
No.
You give employment, you provide services, you make profits, I pay taxes.
Children are dying, sir.
You see?
For the cost of a 6-foot cosy dorm with sleep-tight mattress and headboard, you could buy a pump for a well and a camel cart and all
Miss
sorts
Selby, are you a Christian?
Not anymore, sir, but I feel just as guilty as if I were. And so should you.
Well done, Miss Selby. Well done. You know, when I was a young man and had a donut for my tea, I always put a penny in the lifeboat stocking. And as I built up from my first little shop, my great joy has always been that I have given more and more to charity. I'm on the board of 5 charities, 2 great charities I founded myself. And I will be happy to go on paying your salary, Miss Selby, while you work full-time as one of our campaign organisers, raising funds in towns throughout the country. Your health.
Oh, I don't usually like to drink, sir. You see, the cost of a glass of whiskey could buy 30 trees to prevent soil erosion.
Stop feeling guilty about world poverty, Miss Selby. You started doing something about it. Cheers.
Cheers.
I said, give me what I need. I said, give me. I said, give me what I need. Now that song is from 2 years back, but I still sing it because it still sells. Yeah, but it's not true. Now I've discovered Jesus. I know how to get what I want. I do the opposite. Yeah, that's right. God moves in these mysterious ways. How you get what you want is you give. If you give, you're needed. If you're needed, you're loved. You need to be needed. You need to be loved. That's what you're after. That's what I'm after. Give me love. Now, if you give, the people you give to are gonna love you. Jesus Christ is gonna love you. And I am gonna love you.
We've set ourselves a target for this town, £20,000 within a fortnight. Every school will have fundraising activities. Every church will be a collection centre. Now, what I want to know from you, Mr. Mayor, is where in your town are the people with the money so that I can get it off them?
Won't find it easy. They're all Conservatives. They don't play golf with me, you know.
Where do they live?
Up here, on this hill, by the park.
And down here?
Between the High Street and the canal is what we call the Old Town.
Ah, the slums.
The redevelopment area.
I just don't want to waste any of my leaflets. Now, if you let me have your housing and population statistics, I can rule out the areas with multi-occupation.
Oh, just because the Conservatives have more money, that's no reason to think we in the Labour movement aren't as generous as anyone else. Just because Ted Heath conducts Christmas carols
No,
and
I didn't
Margaret
mean to imply-
Thatcher supports Help the Aged and Prince Charles makes a Jubilee appeal.
No,
Everyone
of
thinks
course.
they're so kind-hearted, and I'm every bit as kind-hearted as they are, just because they're crowned-heads. I'd be very generous if I had a palace full of royal heritage and my mug on mugs and a certain Conservative councillor I could
Oh,
name.
and no politics, please.
I beg your pardon?
A charity is by definition non-political. Politics is by definition uncharitable.
But look, this Conservative council...
No, look, the royal family take part in charity, so that just goes to show. Royalty is charitable. Royalty is non-political. Well, therefore, charity is non-political.
If I could take that again, slowly. Royalty is charitable. Charity is non-political. Therefore, royalty is non-political.
Do you doubt that?
Well, in a certain light, everything's political.
There's nothing political at all about royalty.
Something political about everything.
Everything except royalty. Oh, and charities.
You interested in snakes at all?
No, not at all.
That's a pity, because snakes are completely non-political. And I have a very interesting collection of pythons and boa
I'm
constrictors.
only interested in not wasting my valuable leaflets. And I'm sure, as a supporter of our charity...
I don't give that for your charity! I'm only interested in my snakes. Now, the largest python is nearly 15 feet long. And I sometimes go out at night in the springtime with a large sack, and I have him on a special lead with a harness I've made. And we creep up to this field with the lambs, and I open the sack, and whoa!
I already give a great deal to charity.
Which charities do you give to?
There's one to support Eton College, one to support the London
but
Clinic.
those are charities that help the rich. I thought charities had to help the poor.
You getting political?
No.
They're very old established charities, set up to provide education and hospital care.
But the government provides those nowadays.
The government also provides foreign aid.
Ah, but charities, though small, go direct to the people, bypassing all governments, whatever their politics. And they set up different schemes the government hasn't covered.
Exactly. And I've found something the government hasn't covered. I'm setting up a charity to benefit company directors called Bruce Wingfield, 6'1", brown hair, living in Englefield Avenue, and playing golf.
Ah, but who's going to give money to a charity like that?
My friend Johnson Smythe, for a start. He will also be a registered charity. I will covenant large sums to his charity, and he will covenant large sums to mine. Charity is tax deductible. It just means that my money goes to Johnson Smythe instead of to the taxman, and his money goes to Bruce Wingfield.
You can't do that. It would have to be a broader category. The charity commissioners would never allow it.
Are you quite sure?
Almost.
Perhaps if I make it company directors called Bruce, 6'1" to 2", brown or mousy hair, living in Englefield Avenue or Gardens, and playing golf.
But you already have a Rolls Royce with a personal number plate.
You getting political again?
No, I'm not getting political, no.
Eat up for Mummy.
No.
Just a spoonful for Mummy.
No.
Spoonful for Daddy?
No.
Spoonful for Nan?
No.
Spoonful for Batman? Oh! Batman's going to be very cross with you. Batman won't let you be Robin. Batman's going to give you to the Joker and he'll put you in a machine that'll turn all your brains to vegetables. You'll be a plate of gooey green spinach yourself. Open your mouth.
No.
Doggy's going to get it.
No.
Doggy wants your din-din. Mummy, give your din-din to Doggy. Open quick.
No.
Look, there's thousands of people would like this dinner, right? There's millions of Indians want this dinner. This is your last chance, right?
No.
Right, I'm sending it to India. Everything. Yes, even your sweeties. Bad boys don't get sweeties. Eggs go to India. Crispy cod fries go to India. Crinkle cut chips go to India. Prawn curry goes to India. Raspberry ripple ice cream goes to India. Fizzy orange goes to India. You sodding well go to India.
Now, I challenge you to tell me something apart from my snakes, which is not political.
Oh, well, anything. I mean, just look around you. Say anything.
Say something.
House. No, wait a minute. Not house, not house. Car. No. No, not car. Tree. Tree.
Tree, timber, price of, building industry. Need I say more?
Rain.
Rain, leak, Section 99 of the Public Health Act calling for repairs to substandard housing. Now, the
Fish.
number of prosecutions...
Fish. No, not fish, not fish. Not cow. Butter Mountain. No farm animals. Wildebeest.
A wildebeest is a South African animal.
No, not a wildebeest. No, I didn't say wildebeest, I said butterfly. That's it. Butterfly. Butterfly, summer's day, blue skies, flowers, long grass, strolling through the long grass with a nice bloke and finding somewhere to sit down amongst all the flowers and butterflies.
Give money to blacks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like they're dying, man.
Well, then if I give them money, they'll recover.
Oh, look, if you...
Land on the Sussex coast at dead of night and come and live next door.
No, look, if you don't give, they'll get angry, right? And the ones that haven't died will get the atom bomb from Russia and drop it on you.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, what if I do give then?
Oh, well, then they'll be very grateful and stay where they belong. Take A-level English literature, buy all our exports, wish they were still in the Empire, and remember you in their prayers and think you're great, man.
No. Really?
Yeah, really.
Oh, well, in that case, then, only too pleased.
Butterfly. Not so many about. Industrial pollution.
We've adopted a granny.
Oh, that's wonderful.
We had a catalogue from your company and we chose one. We get a grandpa next year to match.
Which one did you choose?
We asked for this one, which was advertised. It says 92, never a day of ill health, always cheerful. Well, compared to my mother, I can tell you, but she'd already gone. So they sent us another model. Now, she's 81 and has suffered from leprosy for many years, so that she's got no fingers. But you can't catch it at this distance. And she sends us the nicest letters telling us how grateful she is and how wonderful we are, which is more than my mother ever did.
Is your mother dead?
Oh, no, I don't think so. We keep her in the corner. You don't want to get her noticing. You don't want to set her off talking. She's not at all a nice old lady. Eh?
Sunset.
Sunset romance.
Romance. There you are.
Sunset romance, marriage, housework, wages for housework. We're into a whole area here.
Don't bother.
Sex Discrimination Act, equal pay.
Oh, I didn't mean sunset. Not sunset. Sunrise.
Sunrise.
Yes.
The rising sun.
That's right.
Land of the rising sun, Japan, rate of growth.
Oh. Well, not so much sunrise, just sun.
Sun newspaper?
No. Sun in the sky.
Sun.
Sun. I don't know if this appeal's done any good.
Well, can't do my sales any harm. Whether it does any good to, who is it this time? Starving Bangladeshis were all the rave a few years back. And Ethiopia's not in the charts anymore. But these things are always with us. And I really do envy your job. It's the other thing I'd really like to be. Except a really great rock star. I mean, love and starvation are two of the basics, aren't they? In fast cars.
An Arab oil sheikh has just bought Marks and Spencer's. He's having it taken down and shipped brick by brick back to the desert.
Quick, he might give something.
For the poor English.
Camels have been replaced by Cadillacs in Kuwait, which brings smiles to the inhabitants of Kensington and Chelsea as they receive their first gifts of discarded camels. Strikers at a Midland car factory who would like to be adopted by an Arab family. Bales of clothing have been opened and distributed, bringing delight to this old Englishman.
Well done, Miss Selby, well done. That's the largest sum ever collected in one town, and that makes you Regional Organizer of the Year. Well, with your picture in our newsletter. Now, I want you to attend my next business lunch, where I try and persuade as many businessmen as possible to involve their companies in charity work. And I'd like you to learn all about tax concessions so you can talk to them. And I'm going to promote you to the publicity department of our central office.
A message from our publicity department.
People think charities are just ladies in knitted hats with nothing better to do. Very amateurish and muddled, but full of warmth and compassion. Well, I work for this charity, and that's exactly what I'm like. But the charity itself is very businesslike and professional and commercial.
People think that charities these days are too businesslike and professional and commercial. Well, I work for this charity, and that's exactly what I'm like, but the charity itself is full of warmth and compassion. And we have all these wonderful ladies in knitted hats.
Sun, drought, starvation.
That's not political, that's an act of God.
We'll have Shanks here, sir. Yattering on about his donuts. I hope you've learned in your time with me, Miss Selby, that a charity has to be run like any other business. It exists to make money. Now, Shanks, he can go on about Christian brotherhood and the joy of giving. Oh, yes, and it's men of vision like him that get things started. But when you're down to the day-to-day running of things, once you're into the nitty-gritty, what counts is the figures at the bottom of the column, right? Whether to buy the freehold of the gift shops, whether to leave our latest bequest in Imperial tobacco. The sooner we can get rid of him and get on with some real work. Good afternoon, Mr. Shanks. Nice to see you.
Ah, Miss Selby. Hard at it as usual. You remind me of myself at your age when I had a donut for my tea.
Miss Selby is working on some new ideas for our next publicity campaign.
Oh, good. Let's hear them.
Well, I haven't seen them myself yet. It might save time if I vetted a few.
Doesn't matter if they're no good. It's the spirit in which she does it that matters.
Yes, but at the time of your next visit, I could have chosen a few, and we'd save some time in that way.
I want to know what goes on in everyone's head. Are you trying to keep me out of my own charity?
No.
The baker never interfered.
Yeah. What we're trying to do is get a dynamic, hard-hitting campaign that's acceptable to the public. Oxfam devised this commercial showing a cake with a white hand cutting a slice, then taking the whole cake, and a black hand taking the slice. Now, we want to avoid anything like that.
Well, it sounds rather clever.
It was clever. It was very clever. It was accurate. It was hard-hitting. ITV wouldn't show it, huh? Said it was too political.
Oh, well, no, of course, we don't want to be political. suppose we had a cake, no. Well, let's listen to Miss Selby.
Well, I thought a picture of a dead child. You can see its ribs sticking out, its swollen stomach. Clearly it died of starvation. Or a child who died of an illness, say measles. It could be covered with sores, whatever you like. This is just the rough draft. You get the idea? Yeah. And the caption, "This is your fault."
No.
It's quite hard-hitting.
It's out of the question. People don't like to be blamed.
Well, you could have a picture of a dead child and the caption, "Whose fault is this?"
Well, there can't be any suggestion of fault.
Just a picture of a dead child.
No. She's doing her best. It's very good for a first try, Miss Selby. I came up with something like it myself once.
Look, Miss Selby, people don't like to feel miserable. Huh? If your advertisement makes them feel bad, they'll put it out of their minds. You want something that makes them feel good and makes them feel even better when you give them money.
An advertisement about people starving that's going to make people feel good.
Exactly.
Well, it is rather a tricky one.
So by the time of your next visit, I'd have
Oh,
sorted
I
the
don't mind
ideas out
waiting. I'm
and,
enjoying myself.
Yes.
Besides, the first race doesn't start till 2:30.
Well, if you'll excuse me, I'll get on with my work.
I've got it! A picture of a well-fed, smiling child and the caption, "Who makes her happy?"
Oh, that's more like...
I knew she could do it.
It implies, you see, that you make her feel happy by giving some money.
Yes.
And that makes you feel good.
Yes.
So you do go and give some money.
Yes.
Otherwise, you wouldn't feel quite so good. And when you've given it, you feel very, very good indeed.
Yes. Oh, congratulations, Miss Selby.
Oh, that is a relief. You had me quite worried there for a minute. Right, now, that's my first idea okayed. This is my second idea. It's about tea.
No, Oxfam tried that with coffee.
No,
People
wait
don't...
till you hear this. A big cup of tea, you see, and the caption, "Does tea cost too much?" And the reader thinks, yes. Yes, it does. And you've got him on your side. Then you let him have it. You can afford tea even at these high prices, but the people who pick it can't. What does it cost them in suffering? The extra money you pay isn't all going in wages to tea pickers, don't you believe it? Why else have tea share prices rocketed? The living conditions of people who pick tea would ruin your tea party if you saw them. Oh, yes, and a certain tea company who shall be nameless, or we might even name them, made twice as much profit this year as they made last year. And this all started because Britain was a colonial power who made the people in these countries grow tea for you to drink instead of food for themselves. And sugar. My God, you may think the price of sugar's gone up. The sugar-producing countries ask for an 8% increase in their prices because our inflation means that they had to pay an extra 8% last year on what they imported from us. Well, that sounds fair enough, doesn't it? The EEC gave them 2%. And you have the nerve to sit there and complain about immigration when they come here looking for a better standard of living. And I only hope you feel pretty sick every time you drink a cup of tea and put sugar in it and think where it comes from and give a lot of money to charity because you're no better than the slave dealers. And you're not drinking a nice cup of tea. You're drinking human blood, sweat and tears.
Oh, that's jolly good, Miss Selby. Perhaps a little bit strong.
Oh, well, it doesn't have to be in exactly those words, of course. We could polish it up. I'd be more than happy to rewrite it.
Wouldn't you say it was a little bit political?
Oh, was it, Miss Selby? Oh, that's not what I expected of you at all. You always seemed such a nice girl.
No. No, political, no. I wouldn't dream. Political? Oh, good heavens, no.
Dear sir, I have given to your charity for many years, but I will demand my money back if there are any more disgusting appeals blaming me for the state of the world. I don't mind being told that a rich person has a duty to give the crumbs off his plate to the poor man at the gate. But I will not stand for being told that I'm wrong to be rich, especially when I'm not. I particularly resent, so soon after Jubilee year, any suggestion that Britannia doesn't play fair. Anyone would think from your appeal that these people had some right to a fair share of the world's resources. Next, I suppose, you'll be suggesting that they needn't say thank you.
If you want to be political, Miss Selby,
No.
you can join War on Want, who supported the Grunwick strikers.
Oh, no, please.
Yes, saying they relieve poverty and exploitation abroad, so why not do it at home?
Oh, I can't bear to listen
No,
to that.
please forgive me.
If you're suggesting there are causes of world poverty and they're to be found largely in our systems of trade and government, there are magazines that put this point of view. We contribute to the financing of these magazines, but completely disassociate ourselves from what they stand for.
I do disassociate
Yes.
myself.
Yes.
I'm sure her heart is in the right place.
In this way, we help spread the idea to the few people who may be receptive to it and keep the more subversive young people out of the charity itself. They're a terrible nuisance there. They're the same types that want workers' control and a place on the board, when what we want is all the titles and captains of industry we can get. So, as I say, we get rid of them to these magazines and keep our own image of a completely non-political charity spreading a little sunshine.
No. Look, I do want to work for the charity. I just got carried away by the facts. Look, I did have this third idea. I don't suppose you want to hear it. It is hard-hitting. Well, I thought... It's just an idea. Well, what it is a big poster with big red letters saying, "Up, you greedy pigs!" No. Just off the top of my head. An idea. No.
Oxfam have brought out this book. Could you? Thank you. Oxfam have brought out this book, this little book. It's a collection of after-dinner stories called Pass the Port. It's, quote, a glittering array of famous people parting with gems of wit, usually reserved for their intimate friends, unquote. It's, quote, what royalty, a prime minister, judges, bishops, trade union leaders, admirals, senior academics, and captains of industry consider to be funny in our day, unquote. After-dinner jokes by top people. That's far more the spirit.
You may at this very moment be drinking a cup of our tea. It has been alleged that my company made twice as much profit this year as last year. In fact, we made twice as much profit this year as last year. But really, you know, the conditions of our tea pickers aren't so abysmally frightful as when people first started criticizing us. We have improved their conditions so that they are now only as frightful as those of people doing similar work in those countries. It would be ridiculous to expect us to raise their wages to anything approaching yours, although, of course, we should love to do that, because they would then be far better off than their neighbors. I hope you'll feel better about our tea when you realize that not just the tea pickers, but everyone in these countries is living in what you would consider for your own family to be appalling destitution. Everyone of that class, I should say. Because there are, of course, people in every country of the free world who are enormously rich, just as there are among you at home.
Sun, moon, planets. Space program, Kostov.
That's American politics.
Sun, heat, alternative source of energy. See where we're getting dangers of nuclear power, wind scale, fast breeder, future of the coal industry, or again, sun, Spain, holidays, rate of exchange.
All right.
My snakes aren't political at all.
Nobody sells cigarettes or margarine or breakfast cereal. They sell getting more girls or pleasing your man or being a good mum. We're too direct selling poor countries. We must sell what people want. All right, they want to feel good about the starving millions, but there's plenty of other things they want more than that.
But charity is more spiritual than margarine.
Charity is a business. You're a businessman, Mr. Shanks.
Yes, I've tried to run my business with an eye to charity.
And your charity with an eye to business. The two are inseparable.
When you want to give her the world, give to her favorite charity.
A man's gotta do what a man's gotta do. Give.
I'm not armed.
£20,596 I've got for you already. That's the train robbery, bank robbery, and various odds and ends. And when they pay his ransom, you'll have another $500,000.
Well, that's very kind of you.
Think what it's going to buy. Wells, tractors, eye operations.
But we can't accept money got by crime.
Crime? Whose crime? Isn't it their crime, having it when people are starving?
Yes, but you can't.
You won't deny Robin Hood's a folk hero.
No, but
Then whose side are you on?
people have to give the money themselves because they want to, or it's not charity.
Listen, the reason I went into this, I've friends who do the same thing, but in their case for political motives. They rob banks for liberation movements. I'm a pacifist. I don't want the money I steal spent on guns. I'd rather it went for medicine. I'd rather it was given to poor farmers to buy new equipment. I'm aiming to personally redistribute the wealth of the world.
Single-handed?
If I devote my whole life to it, others will follow my example. Are you trying to put me down for having only $500,000? It's going to add up.
There is quite a lot of money to be shifted.
Tell me who's ever given $500,000 to your charity. If everyone who gives 50p now were to raise $500,000, we'd be getting somewhere. I reckon within 50 years, the world would be transformed.
But what about all the governments? You can't transform the world just by getting money from individuals.
And why are you in charity? You sound like my friends in liberation, but I don't agree. I believe in charity. If every man, woman, and child in the Western world were to steal £1,000 a year...
I think you should consider letting Sir Arthur go.
Unilever invests as much in Africa in a couple of days as you raise in a whole year. You're like kids spending pocket money. What are you going to do about it?
We accept that we can do very little.
You do?
Yes.
You help hundreds out of millions and you accept it?
What else can we do when that's all people give?
You take it from them.
Not by stealing it.
How else? I'm not interested in politics. I believe in charity. If his company doesn't pay the ransom by midnight, I'm going to shoot him. And if your charity doesn't accept the money, I'm going to shoot him. If you continue to stand out there talking dumb, I'm going to shoot you. Think about it.
A favourite pet of mine is the rubber boa. Small snake, perhaps 20 inches long, whose tail looks very much like its head. If it sees an enemy, it curls up in a ball and sticks out its tail and waves it about so it looks like the head of a striking snake. Now, if the enemy attacks this tail, the rubber boa brings out its head and bites it. Oh, they're not normally aggressive, though, so they make a good pet. The only trouble is, being a burrowing snake, he's usually under the earth in his pen, and see, I don't see as much of him as I'd like.
Rainbow.
It's most important not to come to the end of the financial year with too large a balance, or people will think that we don't know what to do with the money.
What are we going to do with the money?
That's what we don't know.
I never remember why that's a problem. Can't we just send Miss Selby out with a big bag of notes and she could walk about handing them to the poor people? I'd go myself if I were young. Oh, I'd love to do that and see their happy faces.
It's a bit more complicated than that.
Oh, to be fair, we should share it out equally. Just to give me an idea, what would £1 million come to divided among the most destitute people in the world? Not including everyone worse off than us, but the ones we can really hardly bear to imagine, just at a rough estimate for planning purposes.
.0010100 of a penny each.
Oh, well, I have to resign myself yet again to not being able to help everyone. Still, even one life, say, one person made happy has its value. Perhaps we should make it simple and Miss Selby should go out to India or Africa or South America and the first person she meets just to hand them the whole million. That would at least make one very happy Indian.
Yes, when I say that we don't...
African.
Sorry, when I say that we don't know... Sorry, when I say that we don't know what to do with the money, I don't mean that we don't know what to do with the money.
Of course not.
Of course not. We've plenty of field workers and agents looking for the best possible projects. But what with the Sheikh and Sir Arthur's legacy and the commercial, we've a larger surplus than usual, and I'd like to find some really special use for it.
Well, the Sheikh has just built a large hospital in the desert. Perhaps we should send Miss Selby out to get some ideas. I'd like to build a hospital.
When I had my heart attack, I thought the end had come. I was frightened even to cut my finger in this country. There's people dying everywhere of disease. There's no sanitation, no doctors, nothing. But we radioed for help, and a helicopter flew me 200 miles to this hospital. And it's just great. I got a private room, pretty nurses, vases of fresh flowers from this wonderful garden. If I wanted a heart transplant, they could do it. That's how good this hospital is.
I suppose people come here from all over the place.
There's a woman flew 1,000 miles just to have her nose shortened. It's got real international prestige.
And anyone who's ill in any of the villages in the country, they come here.
If they can get here, sure. Only if you've got no transport and you're feeling sick, I guess maybe not too many of them bother.
You mean most of the people aren't getting any medical treatment at all?
I guess not. But you've got to set that against the fact that the treatment provided in this hospital is of the very highest quality. Just like this garden blooms in the desert on account of they got hoses playing on the lawn day and night.
And outside the gate, it's just clouds of dust blowing about.
That's right. Isn't it great?
Well, it's not quite so great if you happen to live outside the gate.
Yes, it's a very unfortunate thing that there's no piped water in the villages. But I've got some wonderful pictures of the women carrying big vases on their heads, big jars and everything. Oh, I suppose you'd think that the men should be carrying big jars on their heads too, huh?
For the money...
Some of the men get to work in the gardens.
But for the money they've spent on this hospital, they could have some kind of medical worker in every village.
Sure, and what's a medical worker? I wouldn't want some high school kid looking after me, and why should they? Listen, the people in this hospital are some of the richest people in the world, and they want the best and only the best, just like we do in the West. You can't have a heart transplant in every village. I'm telling you, I wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for this hospital. Listen, they got some of the latest electronic scanners that can discover illnesses in apparently healthy people. Now, you can't do much better than that,
But
can
what
you?
about apparently ill people? No, there are thousands.
Listen, young lady, it might not matter to you whether I live or die, but it matters to me and my wife. Are you trying to say that my life isn't as important as
of
theirs?
course not. Who?
Listen, this hospital cures sick people and does a damn good job of it, right? Then what are you trying to do anyway? Okay? Okay. Oh.
It doesn't make sense to give money to a country that's far richer than Britain, even if the people are poorer. Well, we do. I can think of examples, but not an oil state, really. Sorry.
Then we must make the Sheikh share out the money to the benefit of the people. Is there nobody trying to do that already? There must surely be groups of people in the country who want the wealth to be in the hands of... Sorry.
Yes, they're called guerrillas.
Yeah, sorry.
In Oman, the British Army is supporting the regime of the Sultan against the guerrillas who want the wealth to be in the hands.
I'm not trying to be political. I'm trying to be sensible. I don't know why I keep...
Yes, all right. Look, just forget it. Go somewhere else. Go somewhere unquestionably poor. We'll go to Bangladesh. Even with all the aid that's been poured in, it's still full of hungry people. Look, straightforward need, okay?
I wouldn't like you to think that everyone in Bangladesh is starving. Some of us are more like you in Britain. Take me, for instance. I own extensive lands. I also have a thriving money-lending business. And in addition, I am a successful merchant. There are some people you could help. Like a tenant of mine I can think of. He had a good crop last harvest, enough to live on for the whole year. But he managed his affairs very badly. First of all, he has to pay me the rent on his property, which comes to half his crop. This means that he must go to the moneylender, myself, to get money to feed his family. Now, this is very bad planning on his part, because the rate of interest is 200%. But everyone must be free to handle their own affairs, so I lend him the money. I take this risk. Now, this year's harvest is a very good one, so that he can pay me back, so long as he sells most of his crop. You see, he does not plan very sensibly. He goes to the merchant, myself, and says he wants to sell grain at harvest time. Now, everybody is selling grain at harvest time to pay their debts. And I don't want to buy. And the price I have to offer him is a very low one. But I do him a favor, and I buy his grain. But I do wonder how he is going to feed his family. Sure enough, after a few weeks, he comes back. Oh, I have no food for my children. Please sell me some grain. I explained to him, this is not a good time to buy. Everybody is buying now. There is a shortage of grain, and the price I have to charge you is double. But he won't listen. He says, my children are starving. So I sell him the grain. Well, my heart sinks when it comes time to collect the rent. He can't possibly have any food or any money either. And I'm right. He cannot pay the rent. Which leaves me no alternative but to find another tenant who can manage his affairs better. Now that is a poor, homeless Bangladeshi who could be helped by your kind charity. But some of us can look after ourselves.
Look, you know I recommended we buy boats for the fishermen. Well, yes, there has been a bit of bother, yes. I am getting on with it. I'm getting round to it. Well, you know, the fishermen used to rent boats from the rich boat owners who charged them so much. And last night, the boat owners smashed up the boats. No, not their boats. The fishermen's boats, our boats. Rented the boat owners' boats and gone fishing, of course. Yes, that's what I'm doing. Finding another project, yes.
A message from the publicity department. We have a wonderful charity gift shop in Johannesburg, which is great fun and highly successful. The variety of things sold is almost as astounding as the variety of customers. Some of them are hard-pressed black people looking for cheap clothes. Other people arriving in Jaguars in the hope of finding antiques.
I've just come from the North-South Conference between the rich and poor country. And I've come to reassure you and the Prime Minister that we're not going to give them anything like what they're asking for. Which is why, unfortunately, the conference has broken down. We're not going to wipe out their debts, nor finance a common fund to stabilize their export prices. But on the other hand, we are going to cancel some of their debts, and we are going to give a little support to some kind of fund, because if we let these countries get too poor, they won't be able to buy our goods with disastrous effects upon our own economy. Also, the oil-producing countries are eager for us to help their less fortunate brothers. If we don't, they might not sell us oil at a price we can afford to pay. But you can rest assured that we won't give them any money without getting something out of it. And if India won't buy ships from us with the money we've given her, just because she can get them at half the price from Japan, we shall think twice about aid for India next year.
Rainbow. All the colours of the rainbow.
Yes. Colours.
Colours.
Blue.
Blood.
Yellow.
Peril.
Green.
Shield stamp.
Red.
Flag.
Black. No. No. Not black. Race. White.
Race.
Purple. The royal colour. Orange.
Orange? You're not suggesting vitamin C's not political?
Oh, I didn't say orange.
What did you say that?
I thought we were never going to get the money spent. Miss Selby seems incapable of recommending a project, but now, thank God, we can transfer it to the Hurricane Disaster Fund.
Yes, God seems to have solved the problem for us. We'll send Miss Selby straight to the scene of the disaster.
You worried by takeoff?
Not very.
Landing's worse,
Yes.
especially if there's no landing strip.
No landing strip.
I imagine it's been blown away. I'm buried under 10 feet of mud. Scattered all over with uprooted trees.
Well, the control tower would tell the pilot.
Oh, you think so?
You think not?
Well, it doesn't bother me because the hazards of takeoff and landing are nothing to the journey itself. It's just starting to get dangerous now.
It says we can undo our seatbelts.
Hijackers.
What? Where?
I carry a cyanide capsule.
What? Why?
You see people get up, you think they're going to the bathroom, but suddenly one of them pulls a gun.
Not on every flight.
I'll be ready. I'll kill myself rather than fall into their hands. I'm telling you so you won't get a shock when I keel over. There now. Watch that one.
But it could be anyone. It could be me.
I have my cyanide capsule.
It isn't me.
It could be you.
Oh, it couldn't be me. Because I work for a charity organisation, and we don't get involved in any kind of political activity. And that includes hijacking planes.
You going to give out blankets and all that stuff?
I'm hoping to be the very first charity worker on the scene.
Do you know the greatest tragedy of this hurricane?
Well, tell me and I'll see what I can do.
Bananas.
Bananas?
Do you know how much you guys at home are going to have to pay for bananas next winter?
How much?
And do you know whose fault that is?
The hurricane?
The peasants. The people you were coming to wrap up in blankets.
Well, I'm sure they didn't mean to.
They chopped down the trees. They chopped down the trees on the hillside. So, when the wind and rain came pouring down, there was nothing to hold the earth on the hills, and smash glove yuck this mud 10 feet deep over all the bananas in the valley.
Oh, well. I never did like bananas all that much.
Wait. Watch that one.
Why? What did he do? What?
He acted normal.
What did they chop down the trees for?
Well, because they're stupid, I guess. To grow food. The landowners who arranged for us to have the valleys to grow bananas should have spelled it out to the people. If you cut down the trees, there is going to be soil erosion. But nobody told them. They cut down the trees, wallop.
Wallop them as well. There's 8,000 dead.
If they want to kill themselves, okay. But they don't have to wreck the bananas.
Where did they used to grow food before they went up the hills and cut down the trees?
Are you trying to be funny?
No, I just
You know
wondered where...
perfectly well where they used to live.
No, I don't.
In the valleys, of course, where you grow the bananas. Do you have any idea of the importance of the export of bananas to the business community of this country and to my company?
No. Yes.
Then you have an idea of the immensity of this tragedy. I won't go into figures. It puts a strain on my heart. I'll just close my eyes and meditate for 20 minutes.
Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. Oh, please, excuse me.
It's not good for me to be interrupted when I'm meditating.
Look, I just want to get one thing clear.
I get very irritable if I'm disturbed just when I'm getting calm.
Are you saying that the 8,000 deaths in this hurricane were caused by the landowners and the banana companies taking the valley to grow bananas?
Are you some kind of a communist? Are you going to hijack this airplane?
No.
Why don't you hijack this airplane and go to Cuba?
Why don't you take your cyanide capsule?
Stewardess!
Oh, no, please. Look,
Stewardess, I've caught a hijacker!
Please. There's been a misunderstanding. Was that 3 nights without sleep? I've lost count. Oh, well, I've finished. Every last bit of sticking plaster. Yeah, I've finished too. Well, Yep. And tomorrow, start planning the long-term relief.
Oh, don't talk about it.
Oh, well. At least there's no problem seeing what has to be done.
What has to be done?
Build the houses again. Put everything back like it was before.
You're planning to build another slum, are you?
Let's think about it tomorrow.
Why do you think there's 8,000 dead?
What, the hurricane? The erosion, of course. The mud. The banana companies can't be ruled out of it. On the other hand, they were very flimsy huts. Proper houses.
So, there's 8,000 dead because of what it was like before.
Yeah.
And you're going to spend your charity share of the disaster relief fund putting everything back just like it was before.
I thought you were tired.
I am.
Look. Be realistic. 90% of the people here own 10% of the land, right? You said so yourself. And 3% of the people own all the best land and grow bananas and sugar for export. Well, therefore, it's perfectly obvious that anything we can do can only be putting everything back like it was before, unless the whole of the society changes. All we can do is patch things up.
Some of the peasants have formed a league and the landowners don't like it. 2 of the men were shot when they went to a union meeting.
Yes, I know, it's all very sad, but 8,000...
There's talk of occupying some uncultivated land and the peasants growing food collectively.
There's always unrest after a disaster.
I'm going to recommend to my lot that we use our share of the disaster relief fund to support the Peasants' League.
But I thought a hurricane would be... you know... earthquakes, floods, natural disasters.
A hurricane is just a strong wind. An earthquake is just the earth moving. They're not disasters till you get people.
But I thought... you know... you can't blame anyone. Act of God.
Act of God, earthquake, Guatemala. Shockproof houses inhabited by the wealthy, mostly all right. Shacks on ravines. In Guatemala City alone, 1,200 dead, 90,000 homeless. In the whole country, 22,000 dead, mostly the poor.
All right.
City officials shot dead after suggesting homeless people should rebuild on unoccupied private land.
All right.
Name me a non-political natural disaster.
Drought. Drought in the Sahel?
Really?
Go on.
Sahel. French colonial rule. Change in people's way of life. Cat routes blocked. Traditional rights to wells disregarded. Crops they couldn't eat. Overgrazing of pasture. People concentrated around a few wells
I get the
instead
idea.
of act of God. No rain, drought. Traditional ways of surviving drought, gone. No reserves of food, too many cattle for the pasture, too many people in one area.
I said I get the idea.
Starvation.
Yes.
All right?
An act of God is political. All right.
Are
you really there?
Yes?
Only sometimes I see things.
No, I'm a journalist.
Am I being rescued?
I'm being allowed a 5-minute interview.
Take this message.
It's been 3 months since you disappeared. After sending the message back to your office that you wanted to find out more about the country before returning to London. Now, it's been established that you then set off in a jeep. How soon after that were you captured by guerrillas? Could you tell me how the capture took place?
To Mr. Dent, the director, and Mr. Shanks.
And how are you being treated?
This is the message. Our share of the Disaster Emergency Fund should be divided between the Peasants' League and the Liberation Movement.
The guerrillas are demanding a ransom. That is the condition for your release. Now, how
Their
much...
aim is to overthrow the government and introduce land reform.
How much are they demanding?
So tell Mr. Shanks, the best way to help the people here is to help them with what they're doing, which is organising to fight oppression. And £250,000 should all be given to help that struggle.
They are demanding £250,000 ransom and have submitted you to a grueling session of brainwashing.
Tell them I'm getting pretty bored sitting underneath this tree.
Yeah.
It gets very hot.
Could you tell me how the capture took place?
Now, we've all made so much money importing bananas that I'm sure we'll be glad to give a little of it to charity, especially when we can have fun at the same time.
We'll have you patched up in no time. Then you can go back and be shot at again, eh?
Another lovely snake is the royal python, known also as the ball python, no doubt from its habit of curling up to a tight ball when alarmed. You can roll it along the table just as like a real ball, but you can't force it to unwind. The more you force it, the more frightened it gets, and the tighter it stays rolled up. They like to eat live food, of course. But you can feed them in captivity on raw beef if you cover it with chicken feathers or rabbit fur.
It's lucky those soldiers rescued you when they did, because we'd already allocated the $250,000, you know, for an old people's home and rebuilding houses and an orphanage for 100 children, so we couldn't have paid the ransom if we wanted to. Oh, pleased to see you. And you weren't even caught in the crossfire.
Congratulations on your elevation, Sir Edward.
Oh, thank you. And you're feeling quite better now, are you? Because when you first arrived back in England, you were quite delirious. I'm sure you've forgotten the things you said to me. I've decided to forget them too.
I'm fine now, thank you.
Ah, you must have as long a holiday as you need, and let me know when you feel up to working again.
If it's all right with you, Sir Edward, I think I'd like a break from the charity side of things.
What I'd like to see, Miss Selby. A young person working for a year or two for charity and then coming back into the business. You've gained a great deal of experience and will bring more to your work. Oh, you've certainly done your bit. And it's high time you got on with your career. I'll be able to bring you in at management level.
If it's all right with you, Sir Edward, I think I'd like a break from the business side of things. Snake? Snakeskin, handbag, rich...
Yes.
You must have seen that all along.
Everyone has his little blind spot. I love my snakes. Relatively speaking, I'd still go as far as to say a snake is not essentially political. A live snake is hardly political at all compared with anything you like to name. Name something.